you haven't watched any of these before, I'm Zoe from Phoenix Coaching. I normally have a banner in behind me, obviously at a different location, but I try and do these once a month. And each month we have a theme. So this month the theme is our belief system, not necessarily religious beliefs, but more around the beliefs that we hold, that we believe to be true, the things that we've experienced, the things that we've been taught, so our belief system. So the theme means that there will be a blog, there will be this video stroke Facebook Live, there will be a webinar on this theme as well. So there is a webinar for self-limiting beliefs. And the posts and the questions that I ask of you this month will be all around the belief system. So let me know if you're watching, comment below, and I will be watching back, hopefully with you later, and commenting and answering your questions through the comment section as we watch. So belief system, let me just get straight into it. So belief system, our beliefs are what we perceive reality to be. So they might have been informed by our parents, influencing people or influential people when we've been growing up, teachers, role models, coaches. So it's what we believe to be true, and it's our relationship with reality, and that will be different for different people. Our beliefs are fundamental to our success. So I talked about self-limiting beliefs a minute ago. So we've got enabling beliefs, the things that we say to ourselves to encourage us to step forward and to try and to keep things going, keep that momentum going, keep stepping out of our comfort zone. But we also have self-limiting beliefs as well. And they might be to hold us back, to protect us. They might be to hold us back, to keep us in status quo. They might be holding us back for another reason, maybe because at some point we weren't in a position to be able to do that. But we have to let and allow our beliefs to evolve with us. And as our situations change, as we evolve as people, we have to move our belief system along with that. So our beliefs drive our values, and our values drive our behaviours. So if you have worked with me in any of the webinars or the Thrive program, we talk about and we work on understanding what our values are, understanding what our needs are, and understanding what our beliefs are, which ones are helpful to us and which ones are not. So you may well have already worked out what your values are. If you haven't, comment below. I have got a free PDF that will have gone out to the mailing list, but I can send to you if you are interested in understanding that as well. Actually, I think it's on needs. It may not be, but it may be helpful to you to have a little look at and reflect on. So our beliefs drive our values, and our values drive our behaviour. So beliefs are incredibly important because they sit in underneath all of that. So with that, we have the cause and effect. So we believe that there's a relationship between events or things. When one thing happens, it results in something else. So it's the action and the reaction. So if you think of our brain as a bit like it has this filter system. Now, my filter system will be slightly different to yours. It might be completely different to yours, depending on how you've been brought up and your life experiences and what your belief system is. But we all have a filter. And within that filter, when we see, hear, feel, experience, we put everything through that filter. Now, the filter will look at that information, and it will look at what's happening, and it will look for things that it recognises and things that will add evidence to what we already believe to be true, unless you are forcing yourself to be a more critical thinker. I'm going to come on to that in a bit more in a moment. So we delete information that we don't feel is relevant or that we don't feel fits our belief system. So we choose to ignore it, or we don't hold on to it, or we don't see it because we don't put ourselves in that place where we will see that information. So we will only read or watch anything that goes forward and supports what we already believe to be true. Then we'll distort. So we might reshape it, we might reframe it, we might remember something slightly different so that it distorts that experience until it fits our belief system. And then the other thing we do is we generalize. So when one or two things happen, we will say that that applies to everything or to everybody. So when we hold a belief system, When we have in our belief system, we will look for things and we will delete, we will distort, and we will generalize until it fits the mold of what we already believe to be true. Unless you are a critical thinker, unless you force yourself to think more critically about what is going on. So if you think, when we were children, we had parents or guardians, carers who would challenge what we were thinking. They would be our reminder to think in a critical way. So they would challenge, well, why is that? How do you know that's true? When else has this happened? So they will challenge when we might have deleted it. They'll challenge for what actually happened, the distort element of it, and they will challenge when we generalize. So they help us to think in a more critical way. But when we get into our adulthood, we don't necessarily have somebody who challenges that, especially if we surround ourselves with yes people, people who nod and people who agree and people who don't challenge. Now, we tend to surround ourselves with people who are like us. It's exactly, birds of a feather flock together. So we will surround ourselves with people who think like us, who have similar beliefs to us, who have similar values to us, who behave in a similar way to us. So quite often, it's not the fact that they're agreeing with us for the sake of agreeing with us. They're agreeing with us because we are choosing to surround ourselves with people who are like us. So how often are you spending time with people who are different? How much are you spending time and really listening and getting to know people who've got different points of view, who think very differently? So there is that element of, we will spend our time with people who think like us, but how often are you putting yourself in that position where you'll spend time with people who aren't like you? They're younger, they're older, they're from a different country, they have a different religion, they grew up in a different environment, or they went to a different school, or they work in a different job. They don't look like you, they don't think like you, they don't speak like you, they don't believe or have shared values with you. How often are you spending time with people like that to learn more and to challenge your own beliefs? And that doesn't mean that you have to change them, it just means that you're looking a little bit wider. So there's a great video on TED Talks, and I will try and share the link to it, where the person who's talking is actually an unconscious bias TED Talks, but what she talks about at the end is that if you are putting yourself out there as a mentor, is that you should ideally be looking to mentor somebody who isn't like you, because what happens is we tend to mentor people who are like us. Women will mentor women, men will mentor men. We will mentor people in the same type of job as us, or we will mentor people who we identify as being like us when we were younger. But what about mentoring somebody who's totally different? What about mentoring somebody who is from a different background, who thinks differently, who could actually benefit from understanding your beliefs and your values, and who you can benefit from understanding theirs? Now, mentoring is a 360-degree energy exchange of understanding and learning about other people. It's not just giving your support, it's what you can gain from them as well. But it's about, again, sharing your time, sharing your space with people who are different to you. So going back into the beliefs, what beliefs do you hold, and really challenge what the degree of certitude is around that? How do you know that to be true? How much do you believe that to be true? One of the questions that came up in conversation on the last Thrive program was, if you had to stand in a court of law and defend that belief to be true, how much evidence would you have to support that? How much evidence would you be able to bring to the court to show to the jury that that belief is true, that you know it's true, that it's unquestionably true? Or will the people arguing against it and saying it's not true, will they stand up and be able to quash that quite quickly because you have generalized, or you have deliberately left out information, or you have distorted some of the experiences so that it fits that belief? So how sure are you? How much do you know that is true, or how much is it something that you have just been telling yourself for a very long time and haven't really ever been in that place or been given that opportunity or time to reflect and really review it and really challenge it? So that's the first thing, is how much do you know that these are true? How many of these beliefs are you holding on to that actually they're kind of dangling on by a bit of a thin thread now, and that you're ready to open up your ideas a little bit more? But you might find that opening up those ideas actually strengthens it again. So, critical thinking isn't about changing your beliefs, it's just about acknowledging that there's other beliefs out there and reflecting on whether yours are still there and they're still the same, or whether they are evolving slightly. The other thing with beliefs is that, as I mentioned in the beginning, our beliefs are shaped by our parents. So in the same way, how are your beliefs shaping your children? So what beliefs do you have that you are passing on to your children, either consciously or maybe even subconsciously in the language that you use or your behaviours? So what kind of beliefs are your children holding now that they are learning from you, and are you happy with that? So just be aware of how much you can transfer those beliefs on. So your children will learn from you your values, your beliefs, and they will learn your behaviours. So there's that great saying, isn't there, that children learn by what they see and hear rather than what you tell them. So you might be telling them one thing, but if you're behaving in a different way and they see and they hear that behaviour, is that mirroring what you are telling them to do? So that's what you're passing on to your children. Is it good, or are there things that you might want to be more aware of? And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, she says, checking her notes, is when we experience something, we tend to bring what we know to be true, or what we know we've experienced before, into the current situation. So a lot about challenging our beliefs is about coming into a situation or meeting new people with quite a childlike curiosity, or as my coach trainer calls it, that state of not knowing, that wanton curiosity. If you come into a situation like children do, those eyes wide open, that really keen, eager state, because they haven't experienced it before. So they come into it with no preconceived ideas, no judgment about what may or may not happen, no judgment about the people who are involved. They come in with that childlike curiosity. They want to learn, they want to experience it, they want to be involved. So mindfulness is about staying present. It's about staying present in the situation that you're in and not bringing your past knowledge or your past experience into a present situation. So when you experience something, you purely judge it on what is happening at the time, not what's happened before, not what other people have done before, maybe not even what the same people have done before. It's about staying present in that situation at that time with what is happening and coming into it with that wanton curiosity, almost as if you haven't had your previous experiences, that this is the first time you've ever experienced something like this, so that you don't bring in your preconceived ideas, you don't bring in your judgments, you don't bring in your unconscious bias or even your conscious bias into that situation. So by not bringing past knowledge or experiences into this situation, we can put aside the ego that tells us that we need to know what's going on, that we need to be right, that we need to be informed, that we need to know more than everybody else. We can put that ego to one side and we can experience that present moment for what it is. So that covers everything that is on my list. This morning, I asked the question, if your belief systems could only be packed into a suitcase, like when you go on holiday and you've got 20 kilo baggage allowance, if you can only put in a small amount of beliefs into your suitcase of life, how much at the moment are you trying to cram into that suitcase and carry around with you? So if you only had 20 kilos of beliefs, I don't know what a belief weighs, let's say it weighs 2 kilos. So you could only carry 10 kilos around with you. You can only bring 10 beliefs from your past, present, into the future. What would you leave behind? What beliefs are you carrying around right now that are no longer helpful to you? They might have been helpful to you before, but they're not helpful to you now. What are you putting and what are you trying to cram in that suitcase that is taking up space and that is slowing you down? What beliefs, so maybe this is the second part of the question, what beliefs do you need to take with you? Do you want to take with you? What beliefs do you want to get in that suitcase? So which ones are going in first, and which ones are you packing to make sure that you've got the ones that you need in there before the ones that you want in there? So what beliefs do you need to be taking with you? What beliefs do you need to help you to reach your destination, wherever it is you are going? So if you're happy to answer, I would love to hear what beliefs you would be packing and what beliefs you would be unpacking, and we can keep that debate going. If you are watching back, so this will go out live at 8:30, but if you are watching back, continue the conversation. I will be online, I will be on the page or in the group. Still get involved. Even if you're watching this in a couple of weeks' time, it doesn't matter. We can keep this conversation going for as long as it needs to. But I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Hopefully you've commenting, and you are commenting as we've gone along, but do feel free to answer. Don't be shy. There is never any right or wrong answer. People worry about putting the right thing. There is no right, there is no wrong. You are your own person. You are perfectly entitled to your own thoughts, your own beliefs, and I'd just love to hear them. I'd love to hear from you too. So that is it. I'm going to stop the video shortly, just to let you know, in case you've missed all of the posts, the Thrive program, if you love this kind of stuff, if you get value from this, and if it really helps you to rethink things, the Thrive program is like this every week. We do lots of this kind of stuff. We do lots of activities to help you unpick it and learn about it and reflect and review, and then you can challenge what you want to change, and we do that together in a group for 12 weeks, 12 topics in a really supportive environment. If you want to find out more, comment and I will send you some details. The webinar, I think, is on the 15th of April, but that's in the events page. So if you are really wanting to get rid of your self-limiting beliefs, you know you're holding them back and you are sick and tired of them replaying, then why not join the webinar? Those details will be in the events, but I will also post them as we go live later on. That's it. That's the bits you need to know at the end. Feel free to comment. If you want to speak to me offline, the message button is there. Let me know. And I will be hopefully tapping away and engaging with you later on. If you are watching back, if you're not watching back, if you're with me live, I need to find a way to close these calls off because I will just chat away. I'm going to go now and I will speak to you all later. Take care.